Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Jurassic World Rebirth. This movie is directed by Gareth Edwards, who previously directed Monsters and the 2014 Godzilla film. This movie stars Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, with Rupert Friend and Mahershala Ali. Now, the plot of this movie is Scarlett Johansson plays Zora Bennett, who's a special operative / mercenary who is approached by Rupert Friend, who is a super rich man who offers her a job to go to this island that wasn't used in the original creation of Jurassic Park, but an island where all of the reject dinosaurs, or the ones that were too dangerous, are set to live on. And then they recruit a scientist, played by Jonathan Bailey, to go with them. And then they get a ship captain, Mahershala Ali, and some other guests join them, and they get to the island. Now, the plot is very similar to the first three original films, where a really rich person approaches some scientists or ones that he feels can do some good and says, hey, I have a job for you. They reject it. He sweetens the deal, and then eventually they accept the offer. And then the Jurassic World movies came along, and those were essentially just reboots of the original trilogy, but they tried to stay connected and follow this storyline with the Owen Grady character, and they are what they are. So when the trailer for this movie first came out, at first I was like, another Jurassic World movie, but then I watched it and I realized that it wasn't all about Chris Pratt's character. It was going to be a different storyline. Now, you can only make so many plots involving dinosaurs, interacting with mankind in this day and age. So I watched the movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. The first thing that I was real curious about was this film going to show us how dinosaurs and humans interact in today's society? Because we got hints of it in the second Jurassic Park movie, and then we got more hints of it in the third Jurassic World film, and here they finally show us how dinosaurs are adapting to our society and how some of them are surviving and thriving, others aren't. And so I was curious how a world set today's time was going to handle prehistoric creatures. And we get shown that, how they interact with today's world. There's a traffic jam caused by a dinosaur. So that part was interesting. And then the film opens with text, explains to you how dinosaurs are interacting with our world. Now, that's something they could have shown because they kind of have like an animation shortly after that explains the same thing, and we would have appreciated more of a Mr. DNA type slideshow like we did in the original film, but whatever. So this movie takes place on another island, like they all do. But here, if you look on like IMDb or Google, the plot in this movie kind of frames it around them going to this island to visit a facility where these experiments were done for the original Jurassic Park. And that may be true, but here, that facility is shown, explained, and explored late in the film. The main focus of these characters is to get to this island to extract some dinosaur DNA from these three really huge dinosaurs, one in the ocean, one on land, and one in the air, because they want to take this DNA and they want to use it for the greater good. I won't spoil how, but you'll see the movie. And so, in keeping with tradition, the cast of this movie consists of, all four demographics: men, women, adults, and kids. And of course, you got to have the kids in there because, when they meet little dinosaurs, it's cute. And when they're running for their lives and screaming, then it becomes terrifying. But that's what these movies are all about. Kind of like Jaws, but on land. And that's one thing that this movie pays tribute to, ironically, is because Jaws is hitting its 50th anniversary this year. And so there's a couple moments in the ocean that, harken back to Jaws. So this movie was good. It was good because it was intense and exciting and scary. It was violent, but not gory, if that makes any sense. There wasn't a whole bunch of blood splatter, but there were, some dinosaur carnage in this film. But there were also some nice, beautiful moments that harken back to every one of the first 3 films. Whether it's that opening scene where Alan Grant sees the dinosaur for the first time, or it's the scene in the second one with, I forget his name, Peter Stormare's character in the second film where he's, teasing the little Gallimimus dinosaurs, or the third one with the basic plot of, hey, we need you to rescue these kids because XYZ, etc. This movie was really good. The scenes were set up in a way to where you didn't know what was going to happen, and you were really on the edge of your seat. Now, there are some moments where, as an audience member, you're going to probably yell at the screen and go, no, don't do that, don't go there, why would you do that, don't antagonize, stuff like that, but that's why we go to the movies, and that's why we watch movies like Jurassic World. We know what we're getting. The opening of this film was really good, and it definitely set the tone for the movie. Are there issues with it? Yeah, I had a couple. Scarlett Johansson's very nice to look at, and I think her role here was fine. But her as a mercenary is just as believable as her as like this cold-blooded assassin named Black Widow. It's just like, as soon as she smiles and throws the charm on, it kind of takes you out of that character. But, she was tough when she had to be. She was experienced in the group along with Mahershala Ali. They have a history of, being in a team together, and it really shows. You also have nice chemistry between her and Jonathan Bailey as this scientist. How, he's kind of teasing this idea of, hey, what if our goal is A instead of B? What have you. And then you have Rupert Friend as the typical, wealthy man that has his own, means of why he's doing what he's doing. And then you have an addition of this new family, with the kid aspect of the group. There are characters in this movie you'll root for and you hope survive and make it to the whole thing. There's other characters where you're like, I hope you get yours. I hope you get yours very painfully and very slowly. Stuff like that. This movie harkens back to the first 3 movies, like I said. So if you're a fan of those movies, I think you'll enjoy this movie. Yes, there are elements, and there's even a name drop of one of the characters from the original trilogy, which I really like. And yeah, this movie was good. It was exciting. And scary, and it's what we wanted from Jurassic Park since the beginning. It brought back the horror element and not just the action and showing off the special effects, which were really good as well, by the way. You could tell things were CGI, but they didn't stand out. So this movie was a pleasant surprise. That's why I'm going to give Jurassic World Rebirth a B. This is definitely one of those summer movies you want to check out on the big screen. And Gareth Edwards does what he does very well, and that's display size and just things are Goliath and huge, and you really feel that in this movie. So until next time, guys, see ya.